The title of this video says Xiaomi just removed the wing. That sounds like a marketing line. But by the time this is over, you're going to understand exactly why we said it, and realize the wing was never the interesting part of the story to begin with. If you're new here and you care about where performance engineering is actually going, hit subscribe. We go deep on this every week. Picture this. It is February 2026. A company most people in Europe still associate with budget smartphones and robot vacuum cleaners walks into Mobile World Congress in Barcelona and unveils a hypercar. Not a rendering, not a teaser, a full-scale physical concept sitting under the lights with a complete technical specification sheet. And on that spec sheet is a number that makes the automotive press go quiet. 1,900 horsepower. More than a Ferrari Vision Gran Turismo. More than most things that exist on four wheels. Built by the company that 3 years ago had never made a single car. But the horsepower is not what makes this story interesting. What makes this story interesting is what Xiaomi decided to remove. To understand why that matters, you need to understand what a rear wing actually does and why every serious performance car has had one for decades. When a car accelerates at high speed, air pushes up against the body and tries to lift it off the road. A rear wing creates a counterforce, pressing the rear of the car downward, giving the tires the grip they need to corner without the back end stepping out. More downforce means more grip. More grip means faster cornering. That is the deal every hypercar designer has lived with since before most of us were born. The problem is the deal has a cost. A wing is drag. Every square centimeter of surface pointing into the airflow is friction, resistance, and speed you are paying for in cornering stability. Most performance cars split the problem into two modes. They retract the wing on the straight and deploy it in the corner. It works. It has been working for generations. But it means you are always compromising. You are either slower in a straight line or less stable in a bend. The wing is the physical proof of that compromise. And Xiaomi just made it unnecessary. Their answer is something they call the active wake control system. At the rear of the Vision Gran Turismo, surrounding a halo-shaped taillight that also functions as a giant cooling outlet, sits a matrix of microscopic perforations, tiny holes distributed across the surface. Those holes are not decorative. Using real-time data on the car's speed and angle, the system actively pumps air through that matrix, pushing turbulent air away from the rear of the car and replacing it with organized, controlled flow. The result is downforce without the wing, stability without the drag. The car generates a downforce figure of -1.2 and an aerodynamic efficiency rating of 4.1 on a body with a 0.29 drag coefficient, without a single moving surface extending into the airstream. It should be noted that these figures are concept-level specifications, designed for a virtual car that will appear in Gran Turismo 7, rather than validated production engineering. Kazunori Yamauchi, the man who created the Gran Turismo series and has spent his career surrounded by the most advanced performance cars on Earth, personally drove a Xiaomi SU7 Ultra at the Nürburgring and other circuits in 2025 as part of a collaboration with Polyphony Digital that was announced in June of that year. He subsequently invited Xiaomi into the Vision Gran Turismo program. When the car was unveiled, he said publicly that what Xiaomi had done with the drag versus downforce contradiction made him truly amazed. That is the creator of Gran Turismo, talking about a company that made its first car 2 years ago. But if you think the wing is the most surprising engineering decision on this car, it is not. Because Xiaomi also solved a problem that has existed since the first car turned a wheel at speed, and they solved it with magnets. Every tire on every car spins when the car moves. That is unavoidable. But the wheel surface spinning in open air generates turbulence, and that turbulence is drag. Every high-performance car produces it. Nobody had found a clean solution until Xiaomi engineered what they call accretion rims. Each wheel on the Vision Gran Turismo is covered by a rim panel that fits flush with the tire surface. Inside that panel, fins draw air inward to cool the carbon ceramic brakes. But here is the part that matters. That cover does not spin. The wheel turns beneath it, and a magnetic system underneath holds the cover perfectly stationary while the car is in motion. The wheel rotates, the surface the air touches does not. Drag from the wheel surfaces is essentially eliminated, and the visual effect, a tire that appears to float while the car moves, looks like something from 20 years in the future. The total aerodynamic result is a car that achieves the balance the industry has been told to choose between: low drag for straight-line speed, high downforce for cornering stability, both simultaneously, without wings, without active surfaces extending into the airstream. The answer was in the geometry of the body, the holes at the rear, and the magnets at the wheels. Now here is the part nobody is talking about enough. Xiaomi is the 36th brand ever invited into the Vision Gran Turismo program. The previous 35 include Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW. Xiaomi is the first technology company in the program's 13-year history. Not the first non-automotive brand. Luxury house Bulgari joined the program in 2023, but the first company whose core business is consumer technology, and the first Chinese brand ever to participate. And they arrived with a spec sheet that outpowers the Ferrari entry by over 540 horsepower. 3 years ago, Xiaomi made 0 cars. In 2025, they delivered over 410,000 vehicles, outselling the Tesla Model 3 in China. In 2026, they are targeting 550,000 units. The SU7 Ultra, their production saloon, already holds the Nürburgring production EV lap record at 7 minutes and 4.957 seconds. And in 2027, Xiaomi begins its European expansion. An R&D center already open in Munich, 150 UK stores planned within 4 years. The Vision Gran Turismo is not a concept car for engineers. It is a brand statement, timed precisely to land in European consciousness before the real cars arrive. Think about what the technologies on this concept mean when they leave the hypercar and enter production. The active weight control system, the invisible wing, is software and micro-engineering. It does not require the mechanical complexity of a movable spoiler. It scales. The accretion rims, the magnetic stationary wheel covers, address an aerodynamic problem that every electric vehicle on every road faces right now. When a company is delivering 500,000 cars a year and growing, the gap between concept engineering and production engineering closes faster than anyone expects. Xiaomi did not remove the wing to make their car look cleaner. They removed it because they built something that does not need one. The wing was always the visible admission that the aerodynamics had not been fully solved. Xiaomi solved the aerodynamics. Every legacy automaker watched this car roll onto the stage in Barcelona, and the question for the comments is this: if a smartphone company can outpower Ferrari's concept, break Nürburgring records with a production saloon, and solve the drag downforce problem without a wing, which traditional manufacturer do you think is furthest behind? Drop your answer below. And if you want to see where this is going next, subscribe and hit the bell, because Xiaomi's European chapter is just getting started.